Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name's Sierra Steinmetz.
Brian Shuey.
Carrie Steele.
Bill
And
Jones.
we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is episode 51. We were just talking about we're real close to episode 52, so we'll have to do something fun. We got a couple ideas, but we'll see what that looks like. But that'll be next week. Come on back for that. This week, Shuey's getting into wholesaling. What is that? Real estate wholesaling. Okay, cool. So we're not doing drop shipping on Amazon or anything like that then? I'm bringing back one of my favorites, Zillow. Love Zillow, hate Zillow, both at the same time. I don't know. I think we all, as real estate agents, have that kind of relationship. But are they phasing out the Zillow Premier Agent? So you agents, I'm sure, probably know what that is. To the general public, you probably don't know what that is. Doesn't mean anything to you, nor should you know it, I guess. And are they going to the Flex program? Carrie, you're talking a little bit about some marketing, get yourself out there. And Sierra, I see a big blank here.
I believe we're tag teaming.
Yes, okay, yes, we did discuss that.
Listen to him.
We're cutting that.
No, we're not.
No way.
No cutting. It's
cutting
staying right in there.
That was terrible.
Folks, stay with us.
It's all good.
It's gonna
Yes,
get good.
stay tuned for more. All right, what do you, Shub? You want to start us off here?
Yeah, sure.
All right. How exciting can you make wholesaling?
Yeah, just wanted to talk about wholesaling just because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I just did a transaction where there was a wholesaler involved, or the transaction was, I guess, being done by a wholesaler.
Love your confidence.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm pretty sure.
That's kind of one of the parts I was going to go into. There's not a whole lot of laws and legal stuff with wholesaling.
No,
So
it's
one of
stupid.
those you really got to watch.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
I was going to kind of say I think there should be more disclosure with that stuff. But anyway, I kind of wanted to just talk
That's
about...
going to be my biggest beef with it is that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's just some of them. It's good, but it's ridiculous most of the time.
So, and again, I guess I'll describe what wholesaling is before we get too far. So wholesaling is when a real estate investor puts a property under contract with a seller at a discounted price and then assigns or resells the contract to another buyer. Usually a rehabber or a landlord. It could be a home buyer. In my instance, it was an investor for a fee. So a lot of times they look for houses that are distressed or sellers behind on taxes, or the sellers are in a vulnerable situation where they need to get rid of their home, which is why, like we were just talking about, there's not a whole lot of laws, and I guess
I'm sure there are some laws that apply to it, but not directly to the wholesaling classification.
Correct.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I know just Ohio's got some particular laws with disclosure and stuff like that. But again, it turns into one of those, just like a lot of buyers that we deal with. When we send somebody paperwork, we just get click, and we have it back in 5 minutes. Does the seller actually read and understand what those are?
I'm going to say no.
Because
everyone I've dealt with, they have no idea.
Yep. In the transaction that I just did, it was a mail away closing. So the seller was down, or the wholesaler, I believe, was down in Columbus. They sent a remote notary up to do the paperwork, and he had just finished up with the seller. We did not close at the same location. He had just finished up with the seller, and he's like, "Well, I just saved the deal for you guys." And we're like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, the seller didn't know that there was a lien that was on the property for $16,000 because no one went over the documentation or the paperwork with him."
Sure.
He showed up to get it notarized, and the seller's like, "Why am I getting $15,000 less than what I was expecting?" And this wholesaler guy never went over the documentation with the seller. And so the seller had no idea how much money he was actually getting. So he almost didn't sign the paperwork
because of that.
So it's just one of those. Keep an eye out. I think it was one of our MLSs had sent out a notice or a warning to, keep an eye out for wholesalers. A lot of sellers don't understand what it is, how it works, because I want to say in this particular instance, the wholesaler was getting a check for almost $15,000 just for assigning the contract.
And they probably did nothing but have them ink paper,
and they
right?
did nothing.
Yeah.
So that seller just lost out $15,000 of potential profit
Sure.
for something he could have just went out and found his own agent,
Right.
listed the house himself, and just paid the agent the commission. Instead, he, like I said, got screwed out of money.
$15,000+.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think you hit on a big part of it. It's not like they necessarily prey on people, but a lot of times they just find people that are in a bad position. They're behind. They just don't want the house anymore. They inherited it. It needs a lot of repair. That's been my experience so far. Is every time I've been talking with a wholesaler, is it's generally a home like that. And I guess by the time we get involved in that conversation, half the time it's already too late. They've already signed, whether they've read it or gone over the paperwork or not, that seller has signed a contract with the seller and the wholesaler. So the wholesaler presents whatever, probably number goes over it. Hey, I'm going to pay you X. So say the house is worth $100,000. The wholesaler will say, I'll pay you $60,000. And if that person doesn't know the market, it doesn't know anything, whatever, that sounds great. You're going to guarantee me $60,000. But there's a lot of red tape, a lot of, workarounds to that, because I've had the wholesaler many times say at the last minute, if the deal isn't coming together, I'm not going to follow through with purchasing the home because they're trying to resell the home.
Yep.
So they're just trying to make money.
If they can't get it sold, then they're going to try to do everything they can to get out. They may lose a little bit of earnest money, but again, that's better than them buying, a $60,000 house that they aren't looking to do.
Right.
I mean, how many calls do we get that the guy, the seller's like, hey, I have this property, off-market property that I'm trying to sell 123 Main Street or whatever it is.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of those are wholesalers just trying to resell.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Resell the contract that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. To where if that home seller, just normal, Bob and Betty, had they reached out to not just shilling real estate agents, but had they called any one of us or called any local investor or, reach out to any groups like that, more often than not, we know people that would be willing to pay, probably even if they don't want to do anything. I think that's where they get them, is they want the ease of, I just want to check. I don't want to do anything. I want to walk away, hand someone the keys, someone give me money.
Yeah.
I think that's where they get people, or they're in a bad spot or in a tight, they have to be quick.
Financially, yeah.
Yeah, that's where they get them hooked. To where, again, if they called us, anyone that's local, I think would pay them probably substantially more and then give them a good deal that's quick as well.
Even if you do have to do something, you don't know what that is. Is it going to be $500 worth of stuff? Because if you, again, in my instance, if you could make $15,000 and only have to $15,000 more and only have to spend $500 to make a couple of small repairs,
right?
Like I'd rather make $14,500 rather than miss out on an additional $15,000.
Or even list with an agent just as is at your low ball budget, because you're going to get multiple offers then and be in a much better position than if you
for sure. Because some of the buyers will take that property you just listed. We were talking about ton of stuff in the house. I think that would be a prime example where if a wholesaler got in the middle of that, they would have said, fine, just, we listed it for whatever, 110. A wholesaler probably would have offered them 60 or 70. Yeah. The family probably, you know what, fine. If we don't have to do anything, we'll take it. But we have it on the market for 110. We'll see what it sells for. But I'm sure it's more than what a wholesaler would pay for it.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody in that price point that already doesn't have a lot of money.
Right, right. So I'm not trying to just dog on wholesaling. I think that it works in some instances, but my experience has usually been somebody that gets somebody else's information that's in a bad spot, and for good or bad, it seems like they offer them a number that's, I feel, is generally pretty low.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make a quick buck. They usually don't even put a dime of their own money in it. They'll assign the purchase contract then too. So you got a client wanting to buy it, they'll assign that contract to them, so they never actually put a dollar in it. Title company writes them a check for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 just because they were able to locate that deal for the most part.
Yep. So, which is kind of almost exactly what we do, is help locate buyers to get your home sold. So,
right. Only we're not just trying to make a quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we're not additionally just taking $15,000 from a potential seller.
Legally and ethically and.
When they're already getting a lowball offer.
Yeah, we're almost
on top of that.
Same thing. They're trying to, I guess, accomplish the same goal, get the home sold. But in the wholesaler's instance, they're trying to get the best deal possible to make as much money as possible. We literally have a fiduciary duty to our client.
To get our clients the most money.
To get our client the most money then. Yeah. So granted, we have a fee. We cost money for sure. But it's a heck of a lot less than what the wholesaler is going to rip out of it then for the most part. So if you don't like that, wholesalers, I guess let us know, because I've yet to see many of these to where it's advantageous to the seller to work with a wholesaler versus calling, again, patting ourselves on the back, a real estate agent or someone, even just a regular home investor that's wanting to buy it and flip it, rent it, whatever. Yeah. I've yet to see an instance where that person had been in a better spot, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yep. And a couple of things, again, we were just talking about the legal side. So in Ohio, if you wholesale repeatedly without actually intending to purchase, it may be considered acting as a real estate broker without a license. So you could get in trouble there as well.
Which is every wholesaler I know, that's exactly what they do. Repeatedly, over and over. They're buying it with no intention. They're buying it with no intention of actually purchasing it, just to sell it, to assign that deal to somebody else and make a fat payday out of it.
And then it just gets into, how do you prove that that's what they're doing?
Right.
Again, I did have every intention of buying it, but something came up.
Sure. Right. But I've had a bunch of stories, but 3 or 4 times I've had those wholesalers call me. I want to sell this home, and then come to find out it's a wholesaler. we get involved in a deal, and it's like at that point you can't do anything. They've already, that seller signed the paperwork. Let me try to make the best out of the situation. And then say we don't get an offer for that price they want. Literally at the last second, there's always some caveat in there to where that wholesaler says, I'm exercising my due diligence. I'm removing myself from this offer. I'm done. Like at the last second, it'll be day 90 of the contract. So day 89 and 3/4, they notify the seller, the person selling the home, we're no longer moving forward. So here this person is thinking they've got a cash offer, they're going to close in so long, and it never happens.
Yep.
So
just, I guess, sellers keep an eye open, for potentially wholesalers, trying to make you a lowball offer.
Right.
Talk to multiple people before you, I guess, sign anything. So.
Yep.
Sure. So I guess my feelings probably clear. Sorry if I'm being too aggressive with wholesalers, but
passionate
yeah,
about
I'm
that?
very, because I've just seen so many bad situations with
Yeah.
that. Again, I'd love to hear if there's a good situation where wholesaling made sense. I would love to hear it, but I've yet to see a good scenario. So the one was a big tranche of properties. There's a whole bunch of properties made sense, but other than that, no. So, all right, Carrie, I'll find something that's a little more lighthearted here. I can get behind what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I talked a while back about being an ambassador for our Chamber of Commerce, and I think it's important as real estate agents to get yourself out there, because you're not going to be making deals if you're sitting behind your desk. Now, if you're a power cold caller, I digress. But
Sure.
if you sit behind the desk and all you're doing is making power phone calls and calling every single lead you've ever talked to, then you might be eliminated from this conversation. But the rest of us have to get out there and make connections and build relationships, because a lot of sales is, getting people to trust you, investing in your community, having them invest in you, and reciprocating that business. So,
I don't know any of us that are hardcore cold callers or love that. I don't think anyone in either office is like, I love cold
but
calling.
isn't it so much easier to pick up the phone and call that client that you've met in person 3 times than somebody that you got a Zillow Premier call or something?
Or just calling a neighborhood or
just
whatever.
Calling randomly like, hey, there's a house you're interested in. What questions do you have? Like,
sure.
It's kind of
Why are you
vague,
calling me?
but
Yeah.
So just getting yourself out there, whether it's through joining a board of directors where you can, meet with other local business owners, or even just growing yourself, especially if you're a new agent and you're trying to establish yourself in a new community, like maybe you just moved someplace, or you're a recent college grad and you have to kind of build up your persona. Joining a board of directors or a chamber of commerce or something like that is a really good way to network with other businesses.
Yeah, I love both of those. Yeah.
I mean, business owners also are wholesalers. They're also, investors. They're landlords. They're, or they know a guy. I always like,
they're connected.
I know a guy.
They're connected. They know a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so for us, Brian's, what is it called? Not an ambassador, but where we stand in for other people. At BNI.
Like a
substitute.
A substitute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
My words. A substitute. So BNI is a business networking group, and they're all across the nation. And I've just found one more recently, I think, because you invited us. I think you invited our whole office when you did your presentation there. And it was almost like an underground secret network of business owners.
Oh, God, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah.
It is. And I feel like,
I didn't realize how cool we were.
It is. Because the people that are there go with intent. And the people that don't go with intent don't last.
Right.
They're great
That's
people.
True.
They're great business people, but they just don't last. And so when you go there with great intent and you see the steps through, you'll see the fruit of your labor just come right back to you. And so being a part of something like that, whether it is BNI, which there's chapters all over the United States, and if you're not impressed with the BNI that's in your town, there are some outside of your town. Go visit another BNI
Yeah, they're
chapter.
all over the place.
Or if you're an ambassador, go visit another chapter. If you're on a board of directors at a United Way, a YMCA, a whatever, Big Brother, Big Sister, you name
anything, yeah.
Go and visit other local chapters because they might only be a couple of towns away, but that's business. That's unexpected business. Networking that you can do. That's easy. It's not intentional. It's not like showing up to some random Friday night thing where you have to walk around with a wine glass on a napkin and
like the speed networking and stuff like that.
Okay, who do I talk to? I literally know no one. Or the whole table you're at and you never move. That's me.
Right.
I'm like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go find your people.
I'm so extroverted, but I'm also a huge introvert. So like I just come across as brass sometimes because I don't go right in, guns a blazing. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? Like a teacher, like what's your name? I just kind of stay kind of reserved until somebody comes up to me,
Right.
and then I'll tell you everything. You want to know my favorite color, my blood type, I'll tell you. But just to randomly
your social security number, your
driver's license.
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, so I guess this whole thing is just to get yourself out there and just be willing to new experiences and opportunities. I'm doing a golf thing with somebody who I met in this. I would have never done anything like that before other than working a golf outing. So that's pretty exciting to be able to try something new. And
anybody in sales that especially us, like you had a great point. Then if you go visit other chapters, so a real estate agent travels quite a bit, or has a pretty wide place they would sell at. So it would make sense to go visit neighboring town. I mean, unless you're in Texas and the next town's 3 hours away or something. But around us, there's a lot of little towns. But
in a big city, you could go across town. You could go to the northwest corner, or you could go to the southeast corner or something where you're
city with a couple million people or something. Yeah.
And I just forgot my train of thought.
But I think anybody in sales, it doesn't have to be just real. I mean, we're all real estate agents. It makes sense to us. But anyone in any kind of sales, I think that's relevant information for any of them.
Yeah, I was going to say MLS. So you're as an agent, you're probably a member of a board of directors. So get on the board, get yourself into a position.
Or you can be. They're always starving for people to get in there. Yeah, you for sure
and
can
then
be.
You're working with other agents. You're learning stuff. If you have an office, like our office is amazing. You go in the office, everybody's in there. You're talking and mingling and getting to know each other's offers that they have, and I'm working with this client, this is a situation that I have, obviously protecting everybody's personal information in the deal, but just learning about the wholesaling thing. If you're not in there, if you're just working from home, or you never go into your office and you never do floor time or call time, you might not learn half the stuff that we know. So I feel like we might only have 5-10 years of experience. You've got 30 years of experience just because of what we're exposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say
flailing around with my hands today.
That would be. I think that would still just be kind of networking then too. Maybe you're not going to the chamber golf outing, but just like you said, being in there amongst your peers and learning things and having those discussions, I think makes a bit. You can see that from the agents, not to brag on any agent, but some of the agents that don't come into the office much, or other offices where they're not plugged in.
Yeah,
like the common stuff we talked about, like we feel like we've known for a week or a month. They message like, "Oh my God, did you hear this was happening?
This?
That was 6 months ago, dude." That was not like yesterday. So. Yeah, I think any sales, it's good to find out what's going on in your industry and keeping up with what life is. So.
And that's unless you just got married, have a baby on the way, are building a house, and also owning a business.
Yeah, and he still stays plugged in somehow. I don't know how. Yeah, he's doing it all.
Oh no, I meant joining a group or trying to get out there.
I was giving Brian a hard
really
time.
Good job.
Yeah, we try to sign each other up for all the MLS jobs and. I think we did it. We both ended up in 3 seats at one time.
Oh, no.
Luckily, they didn't eat. I think it was kind of COVID time, so we didn't get together much. So yeah, we lucked out there. But
that's all I have. Self-promotion's hard, but when you're doing something like that, so self-promotion becomes easy because you're forced to introduce yourself, say what you do, all those kinds of things. And it's every time it's just planting the seed. It's not like you're showing up and you're doing this big extravagant, I sponsored, the basketball game, or I sponsored this big show or concert. It's just show up. It's free marketing. Show up, be consistent, be diligent. It's practice. You're practicing for that big game. You're practicing for that championship. So each time just a little bit better. Yeah. By getting yourself out there.
Yeah, so you get yourself out there, sweat equity or check equity. So you're talking. So if you can write a check and be the sponsor of the team, or you can show up to an event, get people to know, like, and trust you at that point. Then
you're respected. So when you do cut that check, even if it is big, if you've done that sweat equity up till now, those people know you and they trust you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't think you have to. To me, so Kelly and I have this discussion here. Events like that. I mean, she likes doing it, but doesn't at the same time. So do I. I think she has a misconception. Not trying to dog on you, hon. Not at all. Love you. But
love you, Kelly.
But you have to. I think her idea is you walk into that room with 30 people. I don't know if she gets it from me or whatever, but she doesn't want to have to go put on a show for 30 people or introduce herself or have a deep conversation with 30 people. I don't feel that way either. I mean, sometimes I do get around quite a bit, but it's usually I just try to have an intentional conversation with 1 or 2 people then.
Yeah,
but,
quality versus quantity.
Yes.
More than trying to own the room or be the, the center of attention or something like that. But I don't know. So... Well, cool. So I think that goes anything marketing. I don't know. I mean, social media too. I mean, I have a hard time with, bragging on yourself or doing I don't know. Some people do it well,
It's
but
so cheesy.
yeah,
It's so self-serving. and
Right.
cheesy. What's the word they say? Like
Cringy.
Cringy, yeah.
It's so cringy. What do the kids?
Right.
What do the kids say?
Yeah.
Cringy.
What are they doing here?
And it's so much easier to do it for like other people.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
yeah.
When you
Yeah.
got your 30 under 30 award, I was like, heck yeah, like look at my
Yeah.
coworker, like posted
Uh-huh.
like 3 times in a week. I don't even post that much for myself.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to me, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
They
not
know.
so
They
much,
know what
yeah.
I do.
They
It's
know.
fine.
Yeah, I'm with you there though too. I would 1,000% rather just scream from the rooftops your guys' accomplishments and say anything about anything I've done or been involved with. So yeah, it's hard. So all right, well for those of you that can get out there and self promote, congratulations, but it's tough. So yeah, sales is hard, but yeah, I guess shout out to our BNI group then. It's been, I think you get out of it what you put into it. You kind of touched on that. I think that's anything. If you put in a good solid effort and make the attempt, put in the work, usually the outcome is there.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't show up and just be a head
Yeah, hey,
nodder.
I was
Yeah,
there.
actually-
I was there. It didn't work.
If you're carving time out of your day and you're going, oh, I gotta go, then just show up. Make it awesome.
Right. Okay, Zillow. I'll roll right into this. First, I want you guys' thoughts. Zillow. Like it, hate it?
I'm
Neutral.
over it. Like honestly, searching for Zillow is great, but some of the stuff that they're doing. Well, I just got a call yesterday, and I know I've been talking this whole podcast, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't think I was going to say much, but got a call, and one of my sellers said, "Why is Zillow saying that in the top corner of my listing it says been on the market for 43 days or whatever? How come it doesn't say spacious backyard or large deck or something like that?"
Right.
I'm like, "Look, we don't pick what they put on there."
Sure.
And then we get phone calls. I remember one of my first deals as an agent. I was writing an offer. We wrote in central air. There was no central air. We were using the Zillow information, and it said there was central air. And I talked to the other agent. The agent starts laughing. She's like, "Did you by chance see that on Zillow?" I said,
Right.
"Yeah." She's like, and because it was, when I first started, she's
Sure.
like, for some reason, it's just pulling the algorithms, like pulling this data that doesn't exist because it's filling in these boxes in such a way. I'm like, well, that's stupid. And I know technology is great when it works, but if you're marketing something for sale with certain amenities like a home,
Right.
better be freaking right.
Right.
Just saying.
Or you'd hope so. And then the sellers expect you to have that information, right? Whether you have control over it or not. But so from the consumer standpoint here, so Zillow, I think that they've built a great user experience. They pull all the data, so us dumb real estate agents put all the stuff in the MLS and they scrape all that. Well, they're now a brokerage then too. So they weren't before, but they are. So they should be allowed that data. They put it out there. They have a great user experience. The public goes, I use it myself. We'll go somewhere
too.
and,
Yeah.
I'm just, it's quick, easy. You pull it up there and do that. They then sell these leads. So if I'm, Bob and Betty buyer and I'm in Virginia Beach and I'm curious about a home. Yeah. You click on the button. It's going to sell you your
own lead.
your information back to a real estate agent. So not necessarily, if I see Brian's name on that sign and I get on Zillow and click, I want to talk to an agent, 99 times out of 100, it's not going to go to Brian. It's going to go to whoever's paying Zillow money to be part of that then. So
Yeah, and I mean, we've all taken calls where they've expected you to be the listing agent.
Yep.
You're just like, I'm not the listing agent.
I'm not even in that town.
And then
Right.
again, you try to all right, I want you to explain to them how this works, but I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because they don't care. They just want
Right.
to see the house.
Yep.
So-
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's what I say. So for the average consumer, anyone looking to buy a home, it makes no difference. Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes, whatever. Like you can go use whatever platform you're comfortable with, but just know that that agent that's going to call you back is probably doesn't know the house, never been in the house. Sometimes isn't even in the market at all. They might be towns away. You don't know who you're going to get. So again, self-serving, but I think your best bet is to call a local agent, build that relationship, have them go find you a home. But I guess just to get onto Zillow, so we as a brokerage pay Zillow a ton of money for these leads that come through. So when Bob and Betty click a button, we want to be the agent that talks to them then too. We try to only work in markets that we know. I'm not buying stuff in Southern Ohio because we're too far away. We can't service it. There are agents that do that. So that's the Zillow Premier program. Zillow, when was it here? In April 2022, Zillow piloted the Flex Only model in Raleigh and Denver. So agents no longer would pay to be a Premier agent. It would now be part of their Zillow Flex program, which would be a referral program. So there's like a bunch of layers to this. But so you're now not just paying for leads. Zillow picks the agent or picks the team that they want to partner up with. for good or bad. So most of the time they try to pick out the top producers, good qualifying agents, which is not a bad thing. You team them up with a buyer so they're good with a good agent. But that agent, that team now is paying Zillow a 30 to 40% referral fee.
Yeah, that's
So they're not paying a premier agent, monthly advertising costs. Zillow is now partnering with them as a real estate brokerage. Like, we send referrals. So if somebody comes to me and says, I'm moving to California, great. Let me go find you an agent in Los Angeles, California that, call the Selling Sunset people or whatever. I don't even know where they're at, but find them a good agent in that area and say, hey, I've got Bob and Betty moving to California. You look like you're a great agent. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I want to find them a good agent. That agent would pay me a referral fee, or any one of us then too. So that's kind of what Zillow is doing. We've got this lead. Carrie, you're part of our Flex program now. Here's this lead, but now go sell them a house and you're going to pay me 40%.
Yeah,
Pay
Zillow's
Zillow.
not dumb. They're a brokerage and they're also in sales. So they know like percentage is better than flat fee. If they're getting a flat fee monthly, how do they make more?
Yeah.
Flex.
So there've been more and more markets where they, it's their ball. They can take it and go home if they want to. They built
But to me, isn't Zillow like a nationwide MLS?
Yes.
Like a free.
But they're technically
they're
technically a nationwide real estate brokerage now, is what they are.
Which then they're just taking everybody else's data for free and selling it back to them. Which
But
I've said
but
like
we
a
do
bunch
the
of
same thing.
times.
Our website, and the cooperation we have with other agencies is we can list their homes on our website then through the MLS data feed. So they're not doing anything different than what we're doing. They just do it 1,000 times better than what we're doing. They can run Super Bowl ads and do it. I can't, you can't, we can't do that.
Yet.
So,
Bum, bum, bum.
So if we could make some killer user experience with a great website and had the marketing budget, we could be Zillow 2.0. I mean, that's what Homes.com is trying to do. So I guess hats off for them to creating this monster. But
That's true.
But it's their ball, it's their court they built. If they don't want you on it, that's now what they're saying. You used to be able to say, I want to pay to play. They'd let anyone be a premier agent. Now, if you want to be a flex agent, you've got to qualify. You got to meet their standards.
I probably don't meet their standards now.
You do. Well, so again, self-serving for us,
No,
we've been Zillow Premier for years. Before we started a brokerage, I personally was, and then as a brokerage, we've been from the get-go. We've got a great track record with Zillow. So if Zillow came to our little market and said, we're going to be Zillow Flex now, our team is probably going to be the one that would get it. So it'd be great maybe for us.
It is, because honestly, I don't know about you guys, but some of my first business was through a Zillow call.
Yeah.
My first ever
Qualifying,
sale was-
doing the right qualifications, because every phone call you get from Zillow is a coin toss on whether or not they're going to be, a buyer or a tire kicker. But just doing that, preliminary pre-qualification questions.
All right.
But yeah, I got a lot of business and
That was probably
learned a
a
lot.
lot of us got probably a lot of business over the years from Zillow.
It's like when you're learning to swim, instead of being like, okay, dip your toe in the water. It's like, nope, throw them in the deep end, and then we've got a lifesaver right here if you need us.
Yep. So if you're depending on that, so these are people are getting these. I'm on Facebook, a couple of these groups here. So if you're a participant in Flex, so this is someone that got thrown out of Zillow altogether. So they must have picked someone else. They were a Zillow Premier agent, and they became a Zillow Flex agent. They must have fell off the standards. So then they received this from Zillow. If you're participating in Flex, we are terminating your master connection agreement and addendum A. I don't know what addendum A is. If you are participation in our market-based pricing, which is Zillow Premier agent, we are terminating your ad order, which is governed by the Zillow Group Pro Services and Listing Ads term of use. So again, they just said, you're out of here. We don't want your money. We're not sending you leads anymore. We picked our Zillow Flex team, and it ain't you. Sorry. So I know that happened in Cleveland. I'm pretty sure it happened in Columbus as well. I know a couple agents down there where that happened, where that was their business. They were spending like $5,000 a month, a single agent, on Zillow leads.
Gosh.
But the ROI must have been there.
Sure.
So they must have been making enough money. I mean, heck, even over in Finley, you can spend $4,000 or $5,000 a month on Zillow.
Yeah, I guess the return is
so
there.
as long as the return's there, but then Zillow came and said, you're gone, no more. Now, you don't want my $5,000? Nope. We're partnering with, instead of A, we're partnering with B, real estate company or real estate team, and we're going to send all our leads there.
Wow.
So if that's your business model, that's
kidding.
Yeah, that's something to keep in
I
mind.
have to start making some calls.
Right.
Cold calls.
So that's us as a team, us as real estate agents. I think I said in Slack the other day, I think we really need to look at what we're doing. I know we lean pretty heavy into Zillow. We have a lot of other lead sources and stuff that we have, but I really think we need to look at honing our skills a little more. I think we're way ahead of 90% of the other agents as far as what we do for lead gen and things like that. But yeah, if they called up, if they made another agent, the Zillow person, the Zillow Flex person here in Tiffin, we're done. There's no more Finley, Tiffin. You don't get those leads anymore.
I mean, the fortune's in the follow-up.
Yeah.
So if we've got leads, work them.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and their standards are, I had this pulled up. I don't know what I did with it, but they were good. So if I'm a buyer, I would want these standards to be in there. I don't know what I did with them, but basically they just said, as a flex, even as a premier agent, to keep the premier logo on Zillow, you have to follow up quickly. You have to try to have conversations. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have to try to close some deals that are come through there. But with Flex, it's even more. They had assign you a person, basically almost like a team leader. So say our team was the Flex person for here. I already know who that person would be then. He would call us and basically just hold us accountable. Well, Carrie, you picked up and talked to Bob yesterday. How'd that conversation go?
It went great because I follow through.
Yes. So they literally are going to put you in a CRM and follow up with that then too. So you'll have a Zillow assigned agent, for lack of a better word, or, team concierge person that's going to hold us accountable and make sure that we're following up quickly, following up continually, closing some deals because they're spending a bunch of money to get those leads. They're coming to us. Here you go sell this person a home. And if you can close them, I'll just pick on you, Sierra. Like Sierra, last 3, not one has closed. What are you doing here? They may say, well, Sierra can't be in a flex program anymore. So
dang, brutal.
Yeah, right. So that would be hard. I mean, they're obviously not just going to shut it down on you if you're in their program. They will try to coach you up and help you with that. But
I am a Mrs. Iglesias.
Yeah. Right.
Your alter ego. You just come into somebody else
right.
on the Flex program.
So there's a bunch with it. So agents are getting formal letters. A lot of them complaining on Reddit, complaining on Facebook. And then two, the ones that were markets that were they're doing both. They have Flex and Premier. The Premier agents are saying we're no longer getting good leads anymore.
Yeah.
Because so if I'm Zillow and I get, wow, this person's super qualified, they're pre-approved, they're ready to go, they're ready to buy a house today. If I can send it to my Flex agent and get 40%, or maybe kick it to Carrie who's paying me $500 a month.
Yep.
I'm going to send it to, my Flex partner.
Yeah.
So there might be some validity in that. I mean, nobody has proof of that, but
yeah.
I
They're
don't know.
in sales and
Yeah.
they're not dumb.
Right. Yeah. They didn't get to where they were giving money away.
That's
I'm
right.
sure. So I don't know. I mean, we can go on and on about that, but I don't know. So does that change your mind on Zillow? You like Zillow even more? Like them less?
I haven't really been using Zillow, to be honest. So
Yeah.
Yeah, period.
I don't need Zillow.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You can get your own business.
I was on Zillow in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So.
Right. But from an agent perspective, I think you guys kind of touched on it. If you're getting started, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to talk to people. You have no sphere, going back to what you're saying, Carrie. I didn't network. I didn't whatever. I got my license yesterday. How do I get started? If I say, well, here you go, Carrie, this guy, literally the phone's ringing. This person wants to look at 123 Main Street.
I know that house.
Yeah, right. So that's pretty low hanging fruit to get started then.
Yeah.
But once you get to the point where, you're a 30 under 30 guy or something like that, you know what I mean? You built your sphere, you got your people. You probably don't need
big time
those Zillow leads or, to pay those referrals and things. So I don't know. So lots changing. I guess that's everything with real estate. Nothing stays the same. Cool. What else we got? Episode 52 coming up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We need an idea. Let's spitball right now. Live.
Go
what are we doing?
Below.
What are we doing?
I was to say, are we going to go live?
We should go live.
But didn't we
not.
decide that the next one is going to be a holiday?
Yes.
The 52 is going to fall on a holiday?
Yes, that would be our recording time then. So we'll punt that back a little bit and then maybe, I don't know.
I was going to say, we'll have to let
Tune
our
back in.
viewers
It'll be
know.
fun. I don't know. All right. So theory of the day is here. Wholesaling. I guess be careful. Networking. Yes, do it. If you're in sales at all, go do some networking. And Zillow, I guess they built their court. They got their ball. If they want to take it and go home, they can do that then. So, but for the Zillow overlords listening, we're good. We love you. Don't kick us off your program. So, all right, that's episode 51 in a bag. We will see you on episode 52, 1 year in. Talk to you then.